Can't see it starting over again. dress it up in red. If that's how you want it, but you would rather get out, I will still hold you back from the edge. I will wait with you till the end. If that's how you want it, I'll be your audience, and I will still hold you back from the in the sun, ain't no quitting till I'm done. No harm in having fun. Go and dice for the prize. Don't like these snake eyes. Rolling heat to sunrise. Gotta shake, shake, spin, spin away. Yeah, everything will be alright. Got the eyes, got the twist for surprises. To the sky, I'm the devil in disguise. Throwing heat to sunrise, just like Vegas in the sun. One more drink, then I'm done. 95 and 21 years. I shake, shake, spin, spin away. Yeah, everything will be alright. Got the eyes, got a twist of surprises. There's nothing better. Yeah, there's nothing better. Still hypnotized. 3 shots tranquilized. On fire behind the eyes. Yes, she does. Ice cold brings the heat. When those boots hit the streets, I swear this fever got me shaking on my feet. My fire, baby, the beats desire. You're the one that I want, yeah. Give this fool on his knees. It's so hot, man, gon' freeze. Pretty little thing, Eliza. Let me tell you something. Top down, feel the sky. shaking on my feet. Pretty little thing, my fire. Baby, please desire. Give this fool on his knees. Hell so hot, man, gon' freeze. Pretty little thing, Eliza. But she's my pretty little thing. I swear this girl gone bad. She moved to hypnotize the best you'll ever have. Save me.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Hello.
Yeah, I lost you a moment ago. I don't know how. Anyway, how well do you hear me on Skype?
Can you hear me?
Hello?
I can hear you fine on Skype.
Oh, okay. I didn't know my phone.
I can hear you fine on Skype. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Volume.
Now, the question is, can people... Okay, good. I wasn't sure whether or not she changed her Skype address, so I wasn't sure whether or not it would be repeated over. This is a brand new mic that I'm trying out today, so I wasn't sure how well people would be able to hear.
Cool. I have the same equipment, but a new residential location.
Yeah, I got this microphone from the team over at The Lost Art. If you are all familiar with the web or video series, because it's a machinima.
Won't you show me how you used to Change rolls along the way. What's correct? I expect. I don't know. It happened for so long now. I know I'm not right anymore. I need you to know. I need to see these missing pieces. Oh, rip it out if you want it back. Tell me now if you feel something real. Oh, rip it out, won't you show me how you hurt so well? 'Cause I need you to be well. Rip it out, won't you show me how you hurt so well? 'Cause I need you to.
Anyway, I was saying that I got this mic from the team at the Lost Art because they decided they wanted me to record some dialogue for them for the show. And I was not going to turn down a free mic.
Of course not.
Oh. We're up to 25 viewers on Twitch right now.
Yay. I need coffee.
Back in a moment.
I can hear, but I'm AFK for coffee.
Yep. Figured that. Hi, Zeke. Nice to see you here. Hello, Darlene. Nice to see you made it. The picture that I have up as a background as at the moment is some of the concept art for Tagura, which was a age that we covered last week, or last month, I should say. Actually, I think my house is in a little bit better shape than that, if not by much. I will not deny, however, that my house is probably about as leaky as that thing would be. Oh, I forgot to kill the sound after that last song ended. Okay. I had intended on killing the music after that last song so that we could get started, so I guess I'll have to cut this one short. Anyway, welcome everyone to today's Cavern Tour. It's no mystery that we are touring the Myst 5 ages. Anything that you'd like to say before we begin, Susan?
I just want to make sure that everyone's logged into your Twitch channel so they can hear you. And I also want to ask everyone, can you hear Larry and I okay? Are the volumes high enough from both of us? Okay. Alrighty. Well, we're going to be hanging out here because this is just a video tour only. We're not going to be traveling anywhere. But I'm sure Larry has some more interesting information in store for us.
Now, I'll tell you this right now. The Myst 5 ages, we have pretty much no background information on. So the interesting thing for me was coming up with something to say about them. You're about to find out whether or not I was successful.
And are you going to warn them about spoilers? Is there anyone here who has not played Myst 5 End of Ages who's concerned about spoilers?
I don't believe that I'm going to be saying anything that will tell you how to solve the game. It'll be, but of course we will be seeing all of the things that there are to see. So in that regard, it would be a bit of a spoiler. But I'm not. But of course, I'm not going to be explaining controls, mechanisms, or pretty much anything else that would actually allow you to progress through the age.
So you're not going to try moving the slider? Sorry.
Actually, funny story about that. In Myst 4, while that was not a Cyan game, they didn't make it. They hired Rand Miller, of course, to reprise the vocals for to play Atris. And he says that when he saw the finished game, and at the beginning, when Atris is explaining how to adjust the tuner, he was basically he says he almost started yelling at the screen, "Shut up, Atris."
So, Larry, I have to remind you and everyone, I need to leave 15 minutes early at 12:45 key time due to another thing that I have to do.
But, well, I'm thinking that we'll only have time for Laki'ahn today, so that
okay.
So it may not even go that long, but we will find out. Okay. Now, if everyone is watching the tour screen, and you'll, by the way, you can maximize that by putting your mouse cursor on top, and you'll see the full screen control down in the lower corner. So you might want to put that on unless you want to be able to read the chat that's next to it. Okay, anyway, Today we are in the age of Laki'ahn. Laki'ahn was a sporting age in much the same manner as Kahlo and Rebek. Like Rebek, Laki'ahn was devoted to blood sports, but unlike Rebek, Laki'ahn's operations were legal. The name of the age seems to be a combination of the word for the dominant sea animal that in the area around the island, with a shortened version of the Dene word for water. The age consists of one main and several smaller islands, and it appears to be in one of the planet's tropical belts. The main island has 3 large structures that were built by the Dene, a trade house connected to an arena and a small underground maze. There are other wooden structures scattered around the islands that appear to be of native construction. Laki'ahn had a native population called the Krish, who were not as advanced as the Dene. Normally, having a native population disqualified an age for general use, but not always. In this case, it may have been because the age had something the Dene wanted. The Krish were recruited for an arena game that some Dene citizens enjoyed watching. Escher had something to say about that, and I just realized that I haven't brought up the place where I have those recordings, so give me just a moment for that.
Yeah, someone asked, is this Myst 5 migrated into Uru? This is your standalone Myst 5, correct?
This is actually a modified version of it, but yes, I'm running this off solely off of my computer.
Okay.
Dubes is working on making versions of the Myst 5 ages that could be imported in the future into Uru Live, but that is still a project in progress, so we'll see how it turns out. But I'm hoping...
Oh, that would be nice.
Yeah, I'm hoping that the next... when we do another tour season, we actually will be able to tour the Myst 5 ages thanks to him. Okay.
I wish you could see Laki'ahn as I remember it. Anticipation. The calls of the beasts bellowing out over the warm airs. And conversations as we waited for the fires to burn and the battle to begin. This was a place of great strength and triumph. Here we watched the harvest of the gems, freed from the conquered Laki and painted with their bloods. What triumph! What grand sport! What displays of strength! Isha finds such strength brutal, even as she seeks it herself. Ah! To have such fellowship with my people again. You've come here via the way of the Krish, the warriors, the natives who traveled here to subdue the beasts for us. And what has become of them? Back to their barbaric ways? What a waste.
That was what Escher had to say about the age, and it comprises about 90% of what we know about the place. Okay. Let's see. And why, pray tell? Oh, I have to tab into it. There we go. Now I can move around. The arena of Laki'ahn was a place where the native warriors were pitted in single combat against a species of large sea animal called the Laki, and it's after them that the age is named. The Laki formed a large red gemstone in their bodies, perhaps in a process similar to how an oyster forms a pearl, and the Dani prized the stones. Since Laki were fierce animals when cornered, harvesting the stones was eventually turned into a spectator sport. According to Escher, the games required great courage. The warrior only had a native pole weapon which appears to be a kind of spear with a spade-like head that could work as an axe as well. The warriors who participated were allowed to keep the meat and hides of the Laki they killed, which were said to be one of their staple foods. The Dani only wanted the gemstones. It's not known when Laki'ahn was written, but it was still active up until the fall of Dani. Okay, the building that you see ahead of you, or me, I should say, is the trade house that he mentioned. And this functioned both as a club and also as a place where Dani would come to purchase the gemstones. Oops. And speaking of the gemstones, here on the table are two of them. This room contains several pictures which show scenes from the sport. This is a pole axe, which is similar to the type of weapon that they would have used perhaps in the combat, but which would have mainly been for taking apart the dead Laki so that they could be converted into food and hides.
Someone asked if the butterflies in Laki'ahn are related to the butterflies in the cavern.
The
Cavern Ages.
I will be talking about that later. Okay. Anyway, this is out of order, but this is the picture of a Krish warrior cutting the gemstone out of the body of a defeated Laki. Across in the other side room, there are two more art pieces. Let's see. This one shows the Krish warrior holding up the gemstone as proof of his victory. In Escher's speech, he mentioned that the fires would be lit and before the combat began. What he was talking about is this: when the Dani were ready to hold one of their games that day, they would light fire on a beacon out near the coastline. And that would let the Krish know that it was time to come and participate. So in this picture, we see the beacon with the fire lit at the top of it, and native boats approaching the island.
Is there one of those beacons out on the beach as we tour the beach? Do you know? I've never noticed one.
the beacon, and yes, you pass right by it as part of the journey through this age.
Interesting. I've never noticed that. Thanks for pointing that out.
Well, you'll be seeing it in due course when we get to that part of the age. The trade house itself is a stone structure with a 3-room main floor and a cupola with tall windows piercing it for light. Let's see if I can... there we go. A rear door provides access to a short corridor that opens up on the arena seating area. Now, I had just been asked about the butterflies that are outside, and let's see if we can spot some of them. Yeah, there they are.
I'm sorry to interrupt so much. Someone's asking if you could take a close look at one of the gems on the table.
Sure, I'll do that as soon as we come back inside.
Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm. It's a little hard to see from the porch here, but so I guess I'll have to go down. But somewhere, here we go. There's one. Someone was just asking about the butterflies. And yes, these butterflies are exactly the same that you find in the alternate vault of Kadesh Tolesa. And we don't I don't believe that that's any sort of a mistake. The chances are those butterflies are native to this age. They are not arranged the same way as a butterfly on Earth. Instead, their bodies are more like a spider's, so they don't have a head, a thorax, and an abdomen, which are the 3 parts of an earthly insect. Instead, they just have a combined head and thorax, and then an abdomen, and that makes them very unusual indeed. Last week, I showed you blue butterflies. Or last week, what am I saying? Last month, I showed you blue butterflies that could be found in the cleft volcano and also in the age of Dorebo. And those look exactly the same as these, except for their coloration, which means that they are probably a different species of the same butterfly that somehow found their way into those ages. Actually, give me just a moment here, and I will try to find. Let's see.
So should we deduce that there's a connection between the vault and this age, or
not so much that
we don't know for sure?
The chances are that those butterflies were brought into Dorebo and Laki'ahn by accident. In other words, they may have hitched a ride on people who were linking back and forth. The ones for Kadesh Tolesa may have been introduced by Yisha, since they're only found in her version of the vault. But the blue version, the chances are that those are there by accident. Let's see. I was going to try and find. if I can. Okay, it looks like I don't have them queued up, so... I was going to show you some sketches of the two butterflies side by side, but unfortunately I don't seem to have imported those. Okay, anyway. Time to stop wasting time then. So somebody was asking if I could take another look at the gemstones.
Yeah, amongst our tourists are a husband and wife, true life cavers.
Huh.
And so they are literally interested in cavern type activities.
Okay. So you'll find these gemstones scattered all over the trade house. There's one there. There's two on this the center table. And then there's at least one more over in the other side. Two more. So let's see if I can get around to those. Come on. You're just a chair. You shouldn't be blocking me. Here we go. Oh no, there's three. Now, admittedly, these are the raw stones, so there's no telling what they look like once they've been cut and polished, which presumably is what the Denis would have done with them.
Are you able to pan the camera down? Is that functionality there in Myst 5?
Yeah. This is actually a hybrid copy, so I have the same controls here that I do in Uru Live. In other words, I've integrated Myst 5 with Uru. So everything is working that way. Anyway, the interior of the trade house is paneled in native wood and tapestries, and some of the uses it is thought to have were, as I mentioned before, trading or auctioning the Laki stones, socializing, and as a waiting room before the games began. Judging from its size, there probably wasn't an awful large crowd of Denis people here. But if you look at some of the decorations, everything, except of course for the Laki tusks, looks very reminiscent of the type of scenery that you would find in either Polynesia or Micronesia. Okay, moving on to the arena itself. Let's see, I believe that's over here. Yes.
Those banners hanging down remind me of the banners in the guild halls.
Which banners are we talking about?
Oh, the banners inside the room.
Oh, you're talking about those, yes.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and take another look at that. You know, I've never actually taken a screenshot of those. But they are actually somewhat reminiscent, yes, of the banners that you find in the guild halls, in that they both involve that type of leafy scroll work on them. Okay. Anyway, getting back to the arena. Malum is asking, I see a lot of wood. Are they from the palm trees I see outside? And that's distinctly possible. Another thing is that I was noticing that a lot of the wall paneling looks somewhat reminiscent of a type of bamboo. Anyway, the Gladiatorial Arena is a small circular pen with two main seating areas. The fighting pit is not very large, and it's covered in water which is approximately knee-deep. The use of Laki skulls and tusks in decorative towers is very similar to the use of bark remains in Riven, and raises a question. Did Gen visit this age and draw inspiration from it for Riven's decorations? Since he explored a lot of Denis between the time he left the cleft and then when he came to pick up Atris, there's always a possibility that that's what he did, because after he abandoned Atris with his grandmother in the cleft, he went to Denis and spent the intervening years there. So it's entirely possible that he visited Laki'ahn and was impressed by the way the place was set up. There are four openings in the walls of the pit. There are two smaller ones which are entrances to a curved corridor that leads to the underground maze. And they are the way that the Krish warriors would have entered the arena. One of the large gates was the entrance through which the Laki were herded, and the second opens into a channel down which the bodies of dead Laki were dragged after being killed. And let's go take a look at that. So, this is one of the two entrances into the maze, and this is the. It was from this entrance and the other across from it, right there, that the Krish entered into the arena to begin the combat.
Someone's asking if the wood is all made from the palm trees.
I answered that one already.
Oh, I'm sorry. I had a brain hiccup.
Okay.
I'm multitasking.
Yeah. This is the entrance that the live Laki came through before the combat began. Down a little farther along this path, you will see a cage assembly, and that was something that they were moved through, but it forms a barrier between the outside and the arena itself. And then going back, and then the final doorway, which is would have been closed during the combat, is the way that the Laki's bodies were taken after combat ended. They went down this channel, and at the end here, there is a ramp and a crane attached to it. The crane ended in an arrangement that looked a bit like either a salad fork or ice tongs. And that was used to lift the body, drag it up the ramp, and then deposit it outside. Let's see if I can spot it. Okay, it's probably not visible from here. But we'll be seeing it when I go down there. Okay, at this point, I guess I may as well just jump down there, so that because we're pretty much done with the interior of the interior of the arena, unless somebody has a question about it.
Well, Zeke was asking, was this game inspired for the Wart game, but I didn't quite know what he meant by that.
Neither do I.
Oh, then,
yeah.
Then one you count any number, and it has man on side and another on the other and outside of the pool.
Okay, no, the Wark game that he's talking about is the counting game that you find in the Riven classroom. And that was basically just meant to teach children how to count, as well as in Denis. And also, it was kind of an object lesson as to what would happen to them if they misbehaved.
Yeah, it was that toy.
Correct.
Where you turn the crank and the warg descends into the...
Or the man descends. The man on a string.
Yeah, the man descends into the warg's open mouth. It's quite a morbid teaching game.
Yes. But that was again. Actually, yeah. We had a conversation there was a topic in Facebook where they were talking about whether or not the Denis had any humor, or if they were always serious. And of course, the answer to that is that they were human, so obviously they had their own forms of humor. And I mentioned that I had made a number of what you could call the Denis equivalent of a light bulb joke. In other words, how many so-and-so does it take to change a light bulb? Richard Watson contributed to that particular my little library of those jokes. He added 3 of his own, and one of them was, how would Gin change a fire marble lamp? And the answer was, Gin would threaten somebody else to tell somebody else to change it, and threaten to feed him to a warg if they didn't. Okay, anyway, so let's go ahead and jump down into what I call the boneyard. And let's see where... here we go. I mentioned that they had something that looked like a salad fork or tongs to lift the bodies, and this is it here. So as you can see, it's sort of like a scissor mechanism, where when you lift up, it causes the 2 arms at the top to be pulled inward, and that would force the tong part down at the bottom to hold on to the body of the warg. With that, they were able to pull the body up that ramp you saw a moment ago, lift it over the edge here, and then lower it. Once it was here, presumably there would be Krish men, women, and children waiting to receive it, so that they could strip down all the parts off of it, off the bones. And presumably the bones would have been disposed of later. Now, I'm reasonably sure that Laki'ahn was actually operating on the day of the fall of Denis. And the reason why I suspect that is found over on this side of these rocks. If you look here, you will see that there is a Laki skeleton here. There's another one over on this little side channel. And then this gateway opens up into the channel that leads to the arena. And if I remember correctly, yes, there's another Laki skeleton here, which means that these were animals that were probably being herded into toward the arena the day of the fall of Denis, and were just left lying here, unable to move, when the Denis got the message that something was wrong and all abandoned this age. Now, that is, of course, a bit of guesswork on my part, but it seems about the most likely explanation, because the Laki themselves would not have swum into water this shallow. They are creatures that like to swim with only their backs and the tops of their heads exposed above water.
Are you going to show the one swimming?
Well, we'll see.
You're so mysterious. No pun intended.
That's the nature of the game. Pun intended. This mechanism here is a control mechanism which operated the gateways that allowed them to take the wark into the arena. As you can see, this particular cage assembly is divided up into sections. The wark would be herded into one section, then to the next, and then moved on to the arena, which is on this side of it. That's the channel that I came down when I was from inside the arena to show you this cage. And that meant that they probably had a number of animals queued up waiting their turns to be slaughtered. The sections of the cage would have allowed them to have two waiting inside of there, and they would have been kept separated from each other so that any thrashing about that they did would not harm the either. One of the peculiarities, of course, about that cage is that it's like an airlock. I believe only one side of it can be opened at one time. Oh, something that I can do real quick is run back out. Let's see, where's a good one? Is this one in good shape? Yeah. Okay. If you want to have an idea as to how big the Laki are, let's have my avatar stand next to the head. So not quite as big as a wark, but not all that much smaller. Okay. Now, let's see. here. The next major building, of course, is the maze that the Krish had to go through in order to... Whoops. Hehe. Oops. I missed. I'm supposed to be in that channel over there. There we go. Okay. Oops. Excuse me a moment while I get myself out of here.
I wonder where all that sediment comes from. There's no trees overhanging.
This is probably a form of algae, since while this was seawater, it's been sitting for a very long time now. Relatively stagnant. Say, by the way, you just had yourselves a lucky eye view of the last what they would have seen in the last moments of their life. A whole bunch of ninny would have been sitting up there, looking down, waiting for you to be killed. Now, one of the things, of course, about Myst 5 is that it was always intended to have been included in Uru Live, and it wasn't until Uru Live was ended that they eventually decided to turn it into a different game. And so there were different ideas as to what they might do in this with this age for live. That meant that there were a number of ideas that were tossed out, and so this maze originally was going to have 2 or more ways of getting out of it, which of course were scrapped when they decided to convert it for Myst 5. I'll be talking about one of the other things that they had intended to do a little bit later. But inasmuch as navigating through this maze is not something I want to do at the moment, we are going to cheat a little bit. Okay. Is this the way I want to go? Okay, is this it? Actually, I need to go up a bit.
Yeah, I see you've imported your Moolah avatar into Myst 5. In the real Myst 5, everything is first-person view.
Correct.
And remind us, in Myst 5, are we the stranger, or are
Now,
we
the
Dr.
stranger.
Watson?
Myst 5 takes place in, I believe it's 2005. So the stranger is long dead. Let's see, is this...
So we're Dr. Watson?
That's correct. Technically, we are playing Dr. Watson, who is the one who... okay. Oops. Let's see. There we go, that's what I'm after. Okay, this is as good a spot as any. So down we go. Always amazes me that avatars seem to have legs made out of spring steel. Let's see, where's the way? Oh. So this is, of course, a native structure, but we don't know what this was used for by the natives. It may have been a lookout post. However, what Yisha used it for in her quest and what it was originally designed for are two different things. So, okay, which way is it back? Here we go. This is it. So yeah, if we come over here, you were asking about the beacon. There it is. And right next to it is a dock which you saw in the painting, along with the remains of one of the native boats. So whenever the Dani were ready to hold the games, they would light this beacon, and that would be the signal for the Krish to come and participate. Let's see, looking at the chat for a moment. Row, yeah, I'm using fly mode in order to get around and get to places where I might not be able to otherwise. Tony, hello. Malum is asking if that could be a building under construction that we saw before. It looks less like one to me that's under construction than one that's falling apart. But looking at the structure itself, there doesn't seem to there isn't any major hints as to what it might have been used for by the natives. Like I said, the best guess that I have is that it may have been some sort of a lookout tower. Okay. The maze is a two-level corridor itself is a two-level corridor system that seems to have deliberately confusing twists and turns. Navigation through it is made possible by a series of colored lights set at the intersections. And the entrance that the Krish would have used into the maze is not far away from where we're standing now. Let's see if I can remember where I am. If I remember, it is not over here. I always get confused when I'm trying to backtrack. Oh, here it is. Okay. So yeah, the Krish would have come here to enter the maze on the lower level. They would navigate their way through to an elevator and take that up to the upper level, which led to the semicircular corridor that opened up into the arena itself. Ro, yes, that's correct. In fact, that's what I'm using at the moment. I've imported Uru Live, Uru CC, and Myst 5 into that. Now, let's see. I forget which way we need to go here, but let's try this. Now, talking about the animals of this age, oh, I'm pressing the wrong key there. This is where the arena is. So we want to go this way. Yeah. Okay. And now let's go out. Over here. We're going to talk a bit about the Laki. Laki appear to be mammalian, sort of like whales and dolphins, although I can't be certain of that. They have fins and flukes similar to a whale, but have a distinct head and neck. Their backs and skulls have plates of toughened skin armoring them. The back fins and armor do not seem to have any bony structure under them, since there's no sign of it on the skeletons that we see. But the head armor is set on solid bone. Their bellies are pleated in a manner similar to a large whale. It's unknown what they eat, but given the size of their mouths, their diet is most likely made up of relatively small fish and perhaps crustaceans. The mouths are too small for baleen plates, so it's not likely that they fed on krill or plankton. And if we look out here... Okay.
Do we know that this is salt water?
It is an ocean, so it's most likely. Okay, what I'm looking for... is... the critters usually like to hang out around the water over by these rocks. Do I see any? Yeah, here we go, I think. Okay, yes. As you can see, when swimming normally, the backs and the head armor of Laki can be seen above water very often, although they'll sometimes dive down deeper. And that's what lies under the water. So as you can see, here we go.
Oh, that is fascinating. We could have never seen that but for this these special effects. Thank you, Larry.
Mm-hmm. This is what a Laki looks like with its skin on. And as you see, it has two sets of tusks. One coming out of the lower jaw and one alongside the upper jaw. I was telling you about the belly, how they're kind of ridged like bellows, the way a whale's jaw might be. Another interesting thing is the fact that their forward flukes are very long. They're almost look like the wings of an airplane. But the tail, on the other hand...
They kind of look like sea turtle arms.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And then here we have the tail end. And so, yes, that's what we've been seeing the bones of all this time. See. Now, the one thing that we don't know is how the Krish hunted these things outside in their normal lives, because I mentioned that they're one of their favorite prey animals.
Well, one other thing I noticed, it looks kind of like they have beaks, more like sea turtles.
That's actually
like
a good observation.
And a bony back. It looks more like it's like a combination between a sea turtle and a whale.
The thing about that is that we don't see any remains of the back with any of the skeletons. So it may not be bony. It may be thickened skin. That or else it was considered so valuable by the Krish that they never left it behind. But yeah, that mouth is, of course, suited to maybe hunting crustaceans because they'd be able to crush it. Or, of course, it's also probably reasonably good for catching fish. But it's definitely not a plankton feeder, that's for certain. Okay. The Laki can be, if you go to this location in Myst 5 and watch the outwards towards those rocks, the Laki can be observed swimming with their backs above sea level, and sometimes you'll even see the tail flukes break the surface. Say the seafloor around here is fairly shallow, but not so shallow that they can't dive. Their tendency, however, to stay near the surface suggests that they might be air breathers, which is why I wonder if they might be mammalian.
Do you know who designed these? Would it have been the scientists or the folks who made this game?
Well, this was made by Cyan. This was the last Myst game that they've made so far.
Okay.
Right. And Cyan, for designs like this, usually contracted out the work. They would have various artists and designers come up with concepts for them, and then they would turn them into stuff that was usable in the games. So this is what you normally see, and you can spot these back fins moving across the water if you come to visit this age on your own. Now, the other kind of animal that you can normally see, unfortunately, the models for those don't survive the transition when I convert the game into something that I can visit. So let's see if we go over here. Laki'ahn, turn you on. Okay. Then up you go. So now we need to can never seem to find you when I want you. Let's try hunting for it. Here we go. That's right after the paintings. There we go. Okay. Unfortunately, this is a still photo, and playing Myst 5, you can't pan down very much. So this is about the bet. Also, they tend to run away when you get within a certain distance. So this was the best shot that I could take of a little critter that the Denis Zoological Society dubbed the piranha bird. Piranha birds are flightless scavengers found on the main island. Several are still found here. It isn't known what their main source of food might be. They would have had a ready source of protein during the time when the Denis held gladiatorial games on the islands, since the Creche no doubt left a lot of Laki remains behind after they'd taken the parts they wanted. Like a vulture, their heads are unfeathered to prevent blood and other substances from sticking to them and rotting. The elongated, narrow head would have permitted the bird to get in between ribs and other narrow spaces. Despite their fearsome appearance, these birds are skittish, and that's as close as I could get to one before it ran off. They're also quite vocal, and visitors to the island may hear them long before seeing one.
Yeah, their chirping drives me crazy. If you call it chirping, it's more like squawking. Oh, it's so obnoxious.
Okay. Now, let's see. I want to go... back over to the main area. Let's see if
I don't know if you'd be willing to play a sound of what one sounds like here.
I'd have to do a bit of hunting for it. Let's see.
Okay.
How are we doing on time, by the way? 1:14?
It is. It's 12:14.
Yeah,
key
so
time.
we've got 3/4 of an hour left on the day.
Yeah, I've got a half hour. You have 45
Right.
minutes.
Well, I figure we should be able to finish up long before you have to leave. Ah! Now, that was unexpected. I stepped into a hole, apparently. But up we go. Okay, so I want to go back. Over by, if I can find it. Ah, here we go. Oh, as long as we're up here. This is the roof of the trade house. So this is what the cupola that lets in light and air looks like from above. So, let's go around this side and get a look at it from this angle. Okay, so down we go. Okay. Laki'ahn has two main types of tree which share characteristics with earthly palm trees, but they have differences. One of the trees, which is found over here, has a wide base but tapers sharply, then splits into multiple branches with leaves spreading out in a disc at the ends, which of course is unlike a palm tree, which goes straight up and then has multiple leaves coming off the crown. The second, okay, where are we? Okay. Let me need to wait for a little more light. Because right now I cannot see anything. By the way, the reason why it gets dark so frequently is something that I'll be talking about in a moment. Here we go, it's starting to lighten up. Okay, here we go. Second somewhat resembles a palmetto, with a long trunk that often twists or runs parallel to the ground, although it too only has a few leaves at the end of the trunk. They also have a few resemblances to a Madagascar palm tree. There's a bit of grassy ground cover, although it's a little sparse because the ground around here is quite sandy. And then we have a number of plants like this. For those of you who may be garden inclined, they bear a resemblance to a type of plant called a phormium. Phormium. But I'm not a botanist, so my knowledge of these plants is strictly limited. Now, Laki'ahn has one moon. It's very much like that of Earth satellite, which is called Luna most of the time. Like Luna, its size and distance from the planet is just right to cover the sun completely and form a solar eclipse. Let's see if we can find a view. There we go. In fact, there it is.
But this age also has day-night cycles, doesn't it?
No, it doesn't. And that's what...
So, very interesting.
However, unlike Luna, the moon of Laki'ahn has a very fast orbital period of only 18 to 20 minutes, which means it must be much smaller than Luna and much closer to Laki'ahn than our moon. If you are in Laki'ahn very long, you'll experience solar eclipses frequently. And that's why it gets dark. This is, I believe, since we had a solar eclipse just a few minutes ago, this is the moon leaving circling around the planet away from the sun. As a matter of fact, if you watch it, you'll see that the moon is slowly but visibly getting closer and closer to the right edge of the frame. That's how fast it's moving. And now it's gone. Okay, I'm going to go back to... Now, rather than waiting 18 minutes for the next time it comes around, we'll go ahead and cut to... Okay. Here I'm going to show you some still photographs. This is the moon coming up over the horizon. By the way, we don't know if it's going east to west or west to east because we don't know what the directions are on this planet. In other words, which way north and south is. But, oops, wait a minute. Where's the rest of them? Okay. Come on, you. Cooperate with me. So, is it after?
Are you holding another tour next month?
Yeah, there's still a number of other ages in Myst 5 that we need to cover.
Oh, great.
Okay, here we go. Here's a photograph of the moon approaching the sun. Getting closer, and the eclipse begins. As you can see, it actually does form a corona, or it allows you to see the corona of the sun as it covers it. And then here's a shot just after the moon has uncovered the sun again. And then leaving. Okay. So that's happening once every 18 minutes. Okay, and is there anything else? Okay, now, 10, okay. So, one of the things I mentioned earlier that Cyan, of course, had plans for this age that they had to be scrapped and changed when they Myst Online Uru Live ran out of funding and had to be shut down. But I recently spoke with Rawa, and he told me that one of the things that they had been thinking of was this. First off, most of the ages in Myst 5 were either ones that were in the pipeline for Myst Online, but didn't get beyond concept form or were not finished before the game was discontinued. Laki'ahn was one of the incomplete models that was being worked on when the plug was pulled. Cyan Worlds had planned to release it in 2004, and the last listing on drcsite.org mentioned that it was in Phase 2 of restoration, which means that it was in early development by Cyan. Richard said that without access to the design notes, he doesn't know what the original idea was for it fitting into the Myst Online. But he could say that there was at least one idea that would have made it play differently, and that was that originally it was going to be home to a two-player side game. He didn't remember many of the specifics, but the playing field would have consisted of a raised platform of hexagons above the ocean water off of one of the island's beaches, and might have looked a little bit like the pyramid puzzle in Kadesh Talessa. A player would stand on one side of the playing field and another player on the other side. Each one of the hexagons that made up the playing field was going to be a trap door. The two players, starting at opposite ends of the platform, would alternate moves, moving to any adjacent hexagon. There would have been controls at various points on the playing field that would open some of the trap doors and close others. The goal was to open a trap door under the other player so that he or she dropped into the ocean and ended the game. Because of that, it had the working name of Dunkum. Another thing that he remembers that was changed was the underground maze that led to the arena. In the early stages of development, it was intended to be completely dark, so that the player would have to navigate it using the key in some manner. This is speculation on my part, but perhaps it was going to be a use of the glowing function that was introduced in a temporary fashion by the broken key dispenser in Descent. In other words, using the key as a lamp. On the other hand, maybe they were going to bring in something completely new for the job. In any case, that version of the maze would have had more than one exit, and the Dunkum game was going to be outside of one of them. And that is pretty much everything that I have for Laki'ahn. And it is 1:30, so a half hour is definitely not enough time for us to move on to another age. So we will end the tour here.
Fantastic. Let me try to bring up the events for today, unless do you have your splash screen of events
I'm going
too,
to bring that up in a moment here.
Okay. As I said earlier, our next tour will be Saturday, March 12th.
There we go.
Same bat station, same bats channel, same time. And as I said at the beginning, you can on Twitch subscribe so that you get an email every time Larry logs in. Every time Larry, I can't talk. Every time
streaming.
Larry goes live.
Yes.
Yeah, begins streaming. You get an email saying Larry has gone live.
That's why
which is very helpful.
Yeah, which is why I start streaming a half hour before the actual tour begins, is so that those notifications can go out.
Yes, thank you. So, as Larry said, we'll be continuing Myst 5. Gosh, I had no idea you had so much information about this particular game. Okay, so today we've got at 1400 key time, we have Artairton's Story Night, where he tells stories about the history of the Dani. And at 1600 key time, we have the karaoke, which is in the New Messengers pub. 2330 tonight key time, we have Arte's second story night. Sometimes he tells the same story as the 1400 story, and sometimes it's a different story. So check those both out. And let's check also the... if you also ever want to know about events in the cavern, you can also visit the Messengers Hood. They post all the cavern events on their left imager screen. And I'm also looking at... Oh, it looks like today, tomorrow, and the next day, Arte's also offering a Dani Language 101 lesson. If you're interested in learning the Dani language, you can contact key number 58324.
You'll also want to check out the Guild of Messengers Hood, because they are in the middle of the Myst Online anniversary, and there's a number of other events that were going on this week.
Fantastic.
Yeah, so there's probably something, at least a closing ceremony tomorrow.
Does anyone have any questions before we log off? I guess not. Thank you, Mawa, for joining us, Rawa's mothers, here on Twitch. And thank you, everyone, for coming. Larry and I so much appreciate all your continued interest in this wonderful game.
Okay. And I'll add my own thanks for everyone for coming, and because I'm doing this for you. And at this point, we will end the stream.